Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle magazine review of Unknown Worlds of Science Fiction. Day of the Triffids was in the first issue. However, this doesn't particularly look like Day of the Triffids. There were 7 issues in total. There were 6 issues for the magazine, but there was also an annual. And here's the annual as well. Now, for quite a while, I confused myself that I had issue 1 because I had this, which of course says Volume 1, 1976, not the same as issue 1, 1976. And this was $1.25, 100 pages. These were all 80 pages or so. So you got the price there of 20 pence. Obviously, it was $1 there in the States. Very weird ratio for dollar and pound, which would make $5 to a pound. I'm certain the exchange rate was never that. Still, let's go through the mag. It did include lots of great artists. Gene Colan, Wally Wood, Al Williamson, loads. Mike Kaluta. Here's the first issue. I'm just going to quickly show you the contents. I'm obviously not going to show every single story because I've been running for hours and hours going through every single bit here. But you can see there you've got Brad. And also they included lots of articles as well, or interviews with like Bradbury, Alfred Bester, and those sorts of things, which I just thought was great. There's a bit of Gene Colan, just absolutely brilliant. This book ended all the stories. Now, in some issues, it was different artists. So it wasn't always Gene Colan. Here, obviously, Day of the Triffids. Now, this was unfortunately split over 2 issues. So this finishes in issue 2, which is a slight disappointment. I wish they had actually gone all the way through with that story. Worlds Unknown, when they actually brought out, that was about 73, they used to, like Black Destroyer, you'd have the whole story. I guess that was a short story. So it was a bit, or Arena, that was another one. So again, those ones I would love to see in a collection from Marvel. Be brilliant. The Karate there. Ray Bradbury, again, would they include all these if they brought these out in a book? I would hope so, but who knows? Licensing reasons, maybe it's not possible. Still, Smash Gordon, another one there, and I'm going to say that's, who's that? Oh, Frank Brunner. Al Williamson. Now, I don't know if this is a reprint. I'd have to look on JCD just to check. There's some here that maybe come from previous issues of Worlds Unknown, also some from Atlas. Of course, Marvel produced lots of things back in the Atlas time, 1950s, lots of those sort of stories. Of course, they're all coming out at the moment on Fantagraphics. They've got a brilliant series of Atlas books. They're just bringing out a massive volume about Al Williamson. So I'm looking forward to that. It's got 100 stories in. That is just going to be massive and brilliant. It's expensive, but it's going to be one of those great books. Kelly Freas, another artist that I would love to see a massive collection of, because I've got one book, Kelly Freas. That's it. All I've got. Hey, buddy, can you lend me? And that's a great little story. I really love it. Mike Kaluta, the artist there. Really, really enjoy it. I say it did vary. Of course, Marvel produced lots of other ones as well, like Epic, Marvel Preview, Bizarre Adventures. They had sort of science fiction stories. And of course, lots of other science fiction stories in their colour comics. Science fiction has never been, for some weird reason, because I love it, mega popular. Really, truly do not know why. It just doesn't seem so. EC Comics had the same sort of thing when they brought out weird science fantasy, etc. It just didn't seem to have sort of lasting power for things, which is a pity because I love lots of these stories being adapted, as well as, of course, creating their own stories. Light of Other Days, and this one is of B. Gene Colan and then Mike Esposito. On to, again, the final article there, or interview, and on to, still talking about Kelly Freas there with an analogue cover. Love those sort of covers. On to issue 2. And sometimes they mention in the actual one issue that something's going to turn up in the next issue. That didn't always happen. There was some reason, whatever, and it suddenly would turn up in issue 3 or 4, etc. This one is definitely the case in point because the story I think was mentioned in that was going to be in this. And here's the contents here. You got here, what happened to the Harlan Ellison story, this issue? That sort of thing. At least they mentioned it because it's nice because when quite often you get a magazine, you suddenly open it and think, hang on, I thought the story was going to be. It is nice to have a little bit of explanation, the reasons, and obviously got the reasons down there. And also, again, the slow glass story there. But you can see the artist now is Frank Brunner and Klaus Johnson, not Gene Colan in this one. Alfred Bester story. This is the War Toy story. And on to another one. This is just a great one. I love this one, Mike Kaluta. Great artist there. Really enjoyed that. On to another one, which is the finishing off the Day of the Triffids. See the Triffids there? Thoroughly enjoyable. Just love that story. Just brilliant. I'm really glad they've never made a remake for that, or have they done a remake for it? Maybe they haven't. I've certainly, the one I really love, of course, is the early 60s one. And then on to this. You can see there, Repent Harlequin, said the TikTok man, as well as, of course, you've got other information about Larry Niven, etc. And Planet of the Apes. I love that bit. Go Ape match set there, you can see. Obviously, apes, karate, weightlifting or bodybuilding, everything was back in there in the 1970s. This is the May issue, issue 3, Hull Nelson, Larry Niven, and Frank Herbert. Dune. And again, you've got all the stories there. So you can see the different, and always mention, of course, the artists that will be doing the work, and the Repent Harlequin. That was the most popular story in it. It's actually quite weird artwork, I have to say. But then again, it is a pretty weird story. Again, you got that, of course, Slow Glass. Now, who was the artist for this one? George Perez this time. So they're just a lot of variety in these artists that are doing it. So, and also the next story, which is a very sort of Conan-like story, I think. You've got, there's the Conan there. Let's just do it. I've got someone mentioned in comments saying, you don't angle the comics very well. Yeah, I know. Sorry, that's just the way it is. And then you've got obviously another bit that looks very remarkably like a Conan story, but it isn't. So I think it's a Larry Niven story. And Gestation. There, and of course, Cull the Barbarian. Cull and the Barbarians, I should say. And Mangods. So you've got there, Marvel preview. Sort of science fiction story there. Love that one. Cull and the Barbarians. That's called Solomon Kane, etc. Brack MacMorn. And on to this one. And here it is, of course, Repent, said the Harlequin. And there it goes. Quite a few pages. And then finishing it off with the Slow Glass story. And, of course, some various pictures there from a book. And again, we've got there about the Nebula. Uncle Stan wants you to buy Crazy. Again, that's another series of books that I wonder if they'll bring out a collection of those. Be really interesting to see the Crazy ones. I haven't got a single issue of Crazy. No idea what issues would be with that. This one, Lost City of Mars and A. Van Vogt. I think that's a great guy. And also Otis Adelbert Klein. I enjoyed lots of his stories, 1920s, 1930s, that sort of period. And also Robert Silverberg as well in this one. And you've got there. Now, of course, this is getting close to when they finished, which is just such a pity because they were just great, great stories. Loads of stories they could have done. Would have been, but still. Let's just go for it. You've got there Good News from the Vatican. You've got A Vision of Venus, A Dreaming Kind, and so on. The Trial of Mr. Time. And that is obviously another Slow Glass. This time it's Tony Isabella, and Don Heck. There it is. The artwork there. You can see there. With Frank Charimonte. Probably got his name completely wrong. That's another one there. Long story there. On to... There's this one, this little article there, A. Van Vogt. And there's the Otis Albert Klein one, A Vision of Venus. And there's sort of a little blurb about the various projects, legal reasons entirely beyond the control of either Marvel or the Klein estate. It would be nice if they did more reprints of Otis Albert Klein. And also, look at that. I just love that one. That's just one of my favourite covers. It's the best of Planet stories. I remember that one when it came out. The sort of one that, when dark they were in Golden Eye, I would just go for. I loved going through their science fiction section on the ground floor. There was the comic section was in the basement, and that was just always. And of course, you've got the Vatican story there. Punisher never misses Marvel preview, and also Monster Masks, and then Encounters of obviously Rich Corbin. Got a bit of artwork there, Rich Corbin. For some weird reason, he didn't seem to appear very much in this. Obviously, he appears in all the other ones, like Heavy Metal obviously comes to mind, Metal Hurl and those sort of ones. But unfortunately, and Creepy, all those sort of stuff. Whatever, 1994 comes to mind. I love those sort of magazines. Just great. Kick the Can. That's another great little story there. And that's by Bruce Jones. And Planet of the Apes Lives. They did a lot. Planet of the Apes. This one is issue 5, and this is obviously still $1, September issue. This one's a Larry Niven, obviously all the myriad ways, and you can see again it's got a Slow Glass story at the front. And let's see if I can actually turn the page to show the contents. And here's the contents here. You've got, like I say, a real big mix of stories there. Addict, Half-Life, etc. So on to the next story there. Oh, what's this? That's very strange. Asbestos Line, that's not good. And you've got the story here. On to the next one. Let's go. Fantastic Worlds. Obviously, another article there. It's always great. And also an advert for these ones. I love these. Missed any Marvel Masterverse pieces lately? And there's Planet of the Apes, Dracula Lives, Tales of the Zombie, Haunt of Horror, Monsters of the Movies. That was one I never picked up, Monsters of the Movie. I don't know if they had stories in that, if it was a comic book or whether it was actually just articles. And also Monsters Unleashed, of course. And of course, it's even going for the old Treasury editions as well. It's got all the prices there, $3, etc., etc. And then you've got Addict at the end by, let's say, Virgilio Redondo. So you got that. That's a great mix of different stories and different artists included in this in the game. Another impact at the end of that. On to the final issue. Really? Oh, so sad. Behold the Man. Michael Moorcock. And I always think there was a missed opportunity for this magazine. They could have done loads of various stories. J.G. Ballard, Keith Roberts, all those sort of ones. That would have been brilliant. Especially J.G. Ballard. I love J.G. Ballard. Still, Behold the Man, Michael Moorcock, just great. What a brilliant final issue to do. And again, you got old Gene Colan. He's back for the final story of this slow glass one there. And you got a forward is four-armed. And I guess it probably mentions all about Behold the Man, but also, of course, sadly mentions at the back about the issue 7 that was never to be. And you got there, Behold the Man, Through a Glass Slowly, Old Soldier, etc. Again, brilliant story. Lovely, obviously going back in time to the birth of Christ, Romans, death of Christ, even, you know what I mean. And then on to Through a Glass Slowly there. And on to Old Soldier. They've probably done that story as well. The birth of Christ, of course. They must have done. Someone must have done that one, the science fiction one. Perhaps. Mind Games, this one. And this one is by John Allison, not an artist I'm particularly familiar with. There's that story there. And you've also got Visitation. That's how it was a mix of things. I mean, obviously some sort of like horror story / that would be sort of straight out of Hammer sort of films, wouldn't it, that one? And you got, obviously, in this case, you got a science fiction like creature there popping up as well. And also that, the Mighty Marvel Comic Con 1975. You also got the T-shirt as well as the actual booklet, the program, $2. I bet lots of people sent away for that. They must have done. Bumper stickers and all those sort of things. What a great thing to get. Because, of course, not always possible to get to. Now, I didn't order that, I must admit, because I guess it probably was only to, doesn't say US or not. I guess it was probably just US based. Again, you got those. And, of course, got Star-Lord. Had that issue. Just absolutely brilliant. Just Marvel preview one. And Tommy, there, the movie is now a magazine. And of course, you had the good old there. And then it, of course, mentions, unfortunately, the last page there. And you can see all the various things about issue 7, the one that we never got in the end. Oh, though we sort of got it because we got the annual. Maybe that was the sort of collection of the stories. Here it is, the annual. The one that always confused me with issue 1. For ages, I thought I had issue 1. But no, I had the annual. That was 30p. So $1.25, so they kept at least consistent with the exchange rate. However, let's just go through this. I think this has got a reprint, one from one of the Worlds Unknown, Arena. I'm certain that was done in Worlds Unknown. So Theodore Sturgeon, I really loved his work. It, of course, classic. That was reprinted in something, Supernatural Thrillers, I think. I think that was done. Or am I thinking of another story? Maybe the Killdozer. I'm thinking Killdozer probably. Have they ever done it? I wonder. Marvel Comics. That would have been brilliant. I think there should be an adaptation of that. Journey's End and Cleat and Preservation even, of the Species, Sinner, Arena and Threads. So let's just go. Now, I don't know if these stories were going to be included in issue 7. It doesn't actually mention it. But it doesn't mention it at all, doesn't seem. So you got there A Martian Odyssey. Now, that was Stanley, what's his name, wasn't it? Stanley Weinbein, something like that. Don Glut and Jan Dock. And on to the next story here. Let's just quickly go through this. Last Horizon. Conversation with Theodore Sturgeon. Just brilliant. Just great. I love those ones. If they ever do a reprint of these, I really hope they include those as well. But I'm a bit suspicious they wouldn't include those. That was the thing I loved at the Dynamite comics. They brought out the Doc Savage magazines and they did include everything. I don't know in the Planet of the Apes, when they did a reprint of the Planet of the Apes, if they included all of the articles, because there were some great articles in that, I vaguely remember. There's another story here. You see there. Again, lots of great artwork in this one. This was a great issue. I really, really loved this one. And there's Cleat there, Bruce Jones again, and also Fantastic Worlds. You've also got someone there signing. Well, that was Don and Maggie Thompson. Index of Science Fiction. I love that book. Just absolutely one. Unfortunately, my copy got water damaged. It was damaged beyond an inch of its life. So unfortunately, I haven't got Index of Science Fiction anymore. But it was one of those books that I really, really liked. And then you got this, another story here. And also another story, and I'm going to just quickly tell, I think that looks like Arena. And here you've got the Arena. Now, I'm certain this definitely was reprinted from the, what's the name, previous one? It was issue 3, I think, or 4. One of those issues, anyway, 4 or 5, maybe. And it's Frederick Brown. And you can see John Buscema's artwork and Dick Giordano. And on to the next. Let's see. Right, I'm nearly off to the end. And you've got another story here, which of course I'm showing the end of the story, which is probably not the best thing. And again, a little bit more of the interview with Sturgeon, as well as these are lovely transfers you could get. Roach designs are now available. I wonder if these still going. I have no idea. And also you've got here first, look at that, wouldn't it be great? Jointed giant pin-ups, look so real. It's frightening. Do they exist, I wonder, as well? Does anyone have them? I guess they must do. Also, of course, they had all the joke things at the back. And then you had the, finishing off here, giving a bit of detail about the various science fiction there. Harlan Ellison and a little bit more. And that is it. Run through of all those science fiction magazines. I love those. They were just great, great issues. And they're always ones you can just pick up and just read 1 or 2 stories. I would say that I don't generally read the whole issue. I will just pick it up and just read through a story and think, you know what a great story. Just brilliant. Again, just a pity that they just don't bring these out anymore, or any of these black and white magazines. I would love to see the black and white magazines again in this format, this size, but I guess they will probably be a little bit more expensive than probably $1.25, and also probably a lot more expensive than 30p, unfortunately. But they were great at the time. Brilliant set of books. Well, have you got these? Have you bought these? Have you got any of these issues? Would you not even look at these magazines? Those sort of things. Just please put in the comments. It would be great to know, because maybe I've just, gone down a sort of, oh yeah, I really love these. Maybe no one else does. I don't know. So be great to find out. Also, a like or dislike, always appreciated. Also, please subscribe if you're not a member of this channel. Be absolutely brilliant. Always trying to add various books, magazines, comics, etc. to my channel. Thank you much. Bye.